Welcome back to Books and Stuff with Chaz. I am, of course, Chaz, and I'm joined by Karl and Pete from Geek on My Sleeve. The guys have been nice enough to have me on their channel several times, and I decided I'd get them on my channel. And we're all big fans of Mistborn, so we wanted to do a fan casting here. All we know so far is that Brandon Sanderson is working on a script for Mistborn. Decided to write it himself, so that's pretty cool, but nothing official has been announced. So don't take this as gospel. We're just kind of getting on the bandwagon early.
Yeah, and having a bit of fun with it. So thanks for having us on, Chaz.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely glad to have you guys here, and really enjoy your channel, and I'll give you guys a shot to talk about what's going on your channel coming up. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get to it here. So probably a lot of what we did here was just pick some of the bigger names in the series, and if any of you have other castings that you think you would like to see, make sure to leave those in the comments below the video, so we can kind of think about those too and add them to our lists. And I figured we'd start off with the big bad, at least for the first book, and that would be the Lord Ruler, of course. And who did you guys have down for the Lord Ruler?
Do you want to go first, Pete, or you want me to go?
Or I got it.
Okay,
I actually have one for this one. So I don't know why, but I felt like Nicolas Cage because sorry, brain fart on the show I know him from. Oh, National Treasures. And not so much for his like acting in it, because he plays the good guy and it's kind of like a puzzle Indiana Jones thing, but just more the look, because he's a little taller. I felt like even though he's older, he still looks younger, so I felt it would fit there. But yeah, I put Nicolas Cage, and I guess also for what I saw of him in his Ghost Rider days, for a little more of the dark side of things, which fits for the Lord Ruler.
Yeah. So quick disclaimer, I know for myself, potentially Peter will probably butcher a couple of these guys' names because we know them more in their roles than their actual the names of the actors themselves. And some of these characters I had trouble deciding, and others, I had trouble like picking just one. And for the Lord Ruler, it was definitely one of those where I kept going back and forth and thinking of all these different actors and everything. But the guy that I put down was the actor that played the most recent Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, I believe is how you say it. Joaquin
Phoenix. Yep.
Yeah, I think he would be a lot of fun as a Lord Ruler.
Yeah. He plays a good villain too. The first movie I ever saw him in was Gladiator, where he played Commodus. I
guess I forgot he was in Gladiator. I've actually seen that, but it's been forever.
He was just super menacing in that movie. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
he's a good actor. He's played a variety of different roles as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, who'd you end up selecting for your cast, Chaz?
Well, I actually went with Mark Strong. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but Mark played Lord, whatever his name is, I can't remember, in the first Sherlock Holmes movie. He played the big bad in that movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. Yeah, he just has this very menacing presence and a very powerful presence, and he was just playing evil in that movie. And also he played Sinestro in the largely failed Green Lantern movie. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
so I picked him for the Lord Ruler. I think he would be a perfect fit.
I could definitely see that.
I
I got
guess.
my IMDb pulled up here, so as these names are dropped, I'm going to be looking them up as we go along. Sorry to cut you off, Pete. What were you saying?
I guess that's why I went with Nicolas Cage, because like in the first book, or the premise of the first one, he's the bad guy, but after we get through the third one, you know, it's actually like he was really intelligent and that he was, you know, trying to do good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point there. Cool. So let's move on to a little bit on the good side of things for a minute here, and talk about Sazed. Sazed's always a favorite from the Mistborn series, and I had a few down for him. But what were you guys thinking for Sazed?
Who you got, Pete?
So I had down Peter Mancha, and he plays a guy in Spartacus. Now, I recognize it, and honestly, I pulled it from one of the lists online, but I think I'm trying to remember how he plays it.
You said Peter Mincha?
Yeah. And I was going to say the only one I recognize him from was 300 and Spartacus.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
And all in all, like, this is one that I really struggled with because it shows him. I think this is another one that I thought Nicolas Cage could have done because he's taller, kind of lanky, you know, would look all right with his head shaved. I guess that's another odd random reason why I picked Peter Mencha, because in most of his roles, he's got his head shaved.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. He's one that I had trouble casting and kind of bounced around a bit. I guess like when I think of Sazed, like in my head, just kind of like listening to him, like, yeah, he has the physical appearance, but it's like very much his voice for me that kind of like stands out. And I put down, probably going to butcher it again, Idris Elba.
Oh yeah.
So I had him down, and he's in a number of different ones, but I know him more so from the Marvel. And then I also, when I looked him up, didn't realize it, but he does the voice for Shere Khan in the Jungle Book.
Oh really?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
who'd you end up picking, Chaz?
Well, I had a few down. I also had Mark Strong down as a contender for Sazed, but I also had Sir Ben Kingsley, um, and it's hard to pinpoint. I can't remember a lot of movies that he's been in, but although he's a little bit older, of course, too, for the role. But I think the one that I finally settled on was Lance Reddick. Lance played, if you guys have seen the John Wick movies, he was the guy behind the counter at the hotel that's run by the syndicate that John Wick works for.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking that he would be a good one. But of course, he'd really have to beef up for the role. Whereas Pete Mensa, I think it was that you picked Pete.
Yeah,
He kind of looks more of the role, so that's a good one right there. Yeah.
I was reading through his profile, and it said something like he's been practicing martial arts since he was like 6 or something. So one of those that already has the potential for the body mass. So.
Right.
There we go. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. So I think I'll go with your pick, Pete, because But Lance Reddick would be a good one too. I think there's so many that could fill these roles, in a good way.
And I guess I was talking to Karl about this earlier. Like, part of me really wants to have like an all-star A-list, casting, because the book is just that good. It needs to be, needs to get justice. But at the same time, I kind of want like a bunch of no-namers or B-list actors, because this was kind of the origin for Brandon. Like, yeah, he did several other books prior that didn't take off, but this was very much like they need to do the role justice, and it's hard for people to separate from where they know him in other castings. And yeah, that's where, like, at first all of these were filled out with Game of Thrones people, and then I was like, but that wouldn't quite work out. And yeah, so that's partially where I struggled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I kind of started out looking at a few of the Game of Thrones casting. I'm not gonna lie.
They got a lot of good actors there. I ended up selecting a number from there just because, yeah, a lot of good actors. And like Peter said, it's kind of hard, like the A-list versus, like, Jon Snow is always going to be Jon Snow for me, right? So it's hard, but there's a lot of good actors that could fill these roles too, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So one that we were talking about was Marsh, Kelsier's brother, and who eventually, if you don't want spoilers, you may want to plug your ears just for a minute. But he did become a Steel Inquisitor. So, but yeah, what did you guys think of for Marsh?
Man, I struggled with that one. I didn't really dial it in to anyone. I can't remember the name of the role because I'm drawing a blank, but Roy McCain from Game of Thrones, just because he's kind of got like that gruff, I know, right mentality. RORY McCain. How do you pronounce that? Rory?
Rory, yeah. Rory.
And I'm just drawing a blank on the name for who he actually played in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, he played Sandor Clegane, the Hound.
Yeah, the Hound.
Okay.
Interesting casting. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
And just because he kind of he's a taller character, which doesn't really matter, but he kind of has that like gruff, like, I know better, and that's kind of the dynamic I got between Kelsier and Marsh, where he's like looking over his shoulder, and then
yeah, you definitely feel that for sure. You're right, absolutely.
But then I also kind of had him for clubs, but yet again, kind of the gruff, I'll take you under my wing, but I'm gonna do it my own way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he'd make a good clubs too, probably. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Well, that's a good one. What about you, Karl?
So I bounced around a lot with this, but of all people, I ended up going with Mark Ruffalo, the latest guy to play the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I've seen him in a number of different other roles. He's got another HBO show out right now where he plays two twin brothers. But it's hard to really put my finger on why I selected him, but he's somebody that I could see kind of playing that stern older brother role, as well as making that transition to the Inquisitors.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, like I said, had trouble kind of putting my finger on who would make a good Marsh. Who'd you end up going with, Chaz?
I had gone with Dave Bautista because I mean he's Dave Bautista from the Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Oh yeah.
he's definitely got the bulk for it,
Mm-hmm.
and for transitioning into the Steel Inquisitor, which is primarily why I went with him. But
Yeah, I could really see him in the Inquisitor role.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and then I know that he can grow hair, so he would be able to have hair for the first part if we wanted to have him.
this series would have to have a good amount of CGI
Oh
just
yeah,
with everything else they have going on. So hair, no hair, they can
Yeah, I
make it
mean,
work,
you could
right?
do that with makeup and whatnot. I always, I don't know why, but I enjoy those random videos where they're like slow. It looks like they're like peeling off their skin and it's hair underneath and it's like a bald cap or whatnot. Or
right,
like those face masks where they like add a bunch to like make their cheeks stick out further or to like add scars or whatnot. And then they just like slowly start peeling it off and it's all like goopy and stretchy.
right.
I just interest. I think they could do it.
They
That
probably,
movie magic.
yeah. And I also kind of went into this thinking about they may not have the biggest budget for the first movie for stuff like that because they want to wait and see how it does. But yeah, that's true. They could do a lot of that with makeup.
Fingers crossed though, right? I know I've seen in a couple streams or interviews with Brandon that he really wants to hold out to get it done right.
Yeah, and that's cool.
So
Yeah, I think he has to because he definitely has the fan base that whatever he puts out will be successful. But
Yeah.
there's a difference between successful and, like top of the line.
Right. Yeah. At least he's very involved with his baby, and that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
yes,
Yeah.
we definitely want it done right.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were talking about the Steel Inquisitors. Just in general, did you guys have ideas of who would be good fits to play Steel Inquisitors?
That's really hard for me because in my mind, like as I'm reading the book, all I see really is like just all the steel and the spikes, right? Like, yeah, I know like they're all kind of their own guys and unique, and I can see some buff guys in these roles, but there's so much metal in them, and then like the wardrobe. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's where for me also, I kind of saw it as like it's hard to pinpoint the role or pinpoint the atmosphere of them other than, they're finding all the mistings and, taking them out and whatnot. So I thought it would be a good like dynamic or they could have a wide range for them. Kind of like how we switched Ham and Dachshund to females to kind of diversify. I thought it would be a good way for ethnicity and other things to diversify for, because we're going to have quite a diversity between the nobility and the ska. Thank you. So yeah, I didn't really have anyone that screamed spikes through my eyes and messed people up listed.
Yeah, I had one that I was pretty set on, and total B action movie actor, but that's Vin Diesel. Um,
Okay.
from the Triple X and the Riddick movies and stuff like that.
I could see that.
Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well throw out the Rock in there
I
too.
was about to say Vin Diesel makes me think of The Rock.
We see those guys coming at you with spikes in your eyes. My knees would go out.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about The Rock. Yeah, we'll toss him in there, and I'm sure there's a few others that I'm missing. Or
I'm really interested to see, your viewers after they watch this, who they're going to cast for these different roles, what they agree, what they disagree with.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, everybody definitely toss down your picks in the comments. We want to know. We'll be watching for them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just thought about another one, but now it totally left me. So maybe I'll remember and come back to it.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So the so now we kind of get down to Kelsier, and
Oh man.
that's a tough one, right?
Oh, I had too many for him where like part of me I want Brandon Sanderson to be Kelsier because this is the cult of Brandon Sanderson and this is the origin story and he can have a role, you know, be done by book 1, continue going off and doing his other stuff that way he's not too wrapped up.
Yeah,
And I don't think physically he would be a good Sazerd, but I think he could pull off the Kelsier, the mentor,
yeah,
bring you under my wing, and then we could see a little bit of his dark side because, he put it all in motion. But that was like my top pick. I want him to establish his cult even further. And then after that, I kind of went with Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey.
And
Yeah,
that's one of the weird actors where I have, I guess, like in real life backstory for him. Like he came from not such a great place. I think he was like homeless and addicted to drugs and, had a lot of real world, real life problems. But then he got his act together. He, had a great role and he came through for Iron Man and he very much, and, sorry, after Endgame, is it? Might be misremembering. But yeah, after his sacrifice on that, he really just, dialed it in for me. And then also
right.
I put Jon Snow because I could see him being a mentor and he kind of played that whole, spoiler warning, oops, I died. Just kidding, I'm still alive.
Right.
So yeah, I had too many people that I wanted to play Kelsier. And that one I probably spent too much time on.
Robert Downey Jr. was in the running for me as well, but I ended up going with another Game of Thrones character, the Danish actor that played, the Lannister, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I didn't butcher that too bad. But I think he would make a good Kelsier character as well. So, who do you end up settling on, Chaz?
Yeah. So for me, I had. Let's see here. Let's see, who did I have down for him? Well, I had initially thought about James McAvoy from the X-Men fame and
Okay.
things like that. He played in It and things. But then I thought, well, I wonder if it would be. Oh, whoops. Let's see here. There we go. Sorry. So I wondered if it would be better to have like maybe a more no-name actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of scrolling along, and I had posted something about this on Twitter too to get everybody's reactions, and Joe from Joe's Review Journal, and I was kind of just putting him up here if you guys want to check out Joe's Review Journal. He's got some really great videos. But he had posted a comment, and he had some really good ones. Michael B. Jordan played what was it? Was it Killmonger in Black Panther?
Okay.
Yeah. So he played and John Boyega from Star Wars, from the recent Star Wars movies, and so and he also had a few other good ones as well. So I think that would be good. And he actually had, funny enough, he had Stephen Amell down from who plays Arrow on the CW Arrowverse, and he had
Okay.
down for the Lord Ruler. But I think he'd also make a good Kelsier.
Okay.
He has the moody vibe to play Kelsier, I think.
It's hard for some of these characters to really, consolidate down to just like that's who it is. Like there's very few of these characters for me that was just like, nope, like this is who it should be. And I think that's one of the things too, where when it comes to adaptations, like I had to get to a point where I really just stopped myself and said, hey, like this is a whole different medium. Like the vision I have for a lot of these characters are different for other people. And, like as long as it's authentic to the creator, like Brandon Sanderson, who, we know he's very active and wants to be involved in making this, then like whoever he agrees to is like, okay, like that's it. Like that's his vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's where they're going for a movie, right? Instead of a series.
I
That's
believe
Um,
so.
I'm a little disappointed with that just because of the timing, because these are still like longer books. And I guess a lot of it, if you can describe it, visually would go a lot quicker. But for me, Brandon does such a great job with his little like beginning of the chapter snippets where it's like from another area or it's being said without being said. So it's almost like you need a narrator. But I feel like that's just going to be completely lost. And there's other ways you can portray it, but it's going to be like all a chunk in a scene. But yeah,
Right.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially once you get into books 2 and 3, there's a lot of little notes that the hero of ages is writing and stuff like that you can't necessarily really effectively bring into a movie, but in a TV show you could. So yeah, it's a good point, Pete. Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like Kelsier we're kind of on the fence with. There's a lot of options, and he's a hard one to cast. Are we right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it's also sad because just how short his screen time would be,
Very true. Yeah.
which is like, yeah, I want the best of the best, but at the same time, sorry about you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. So what about Breeze? Kind of the comedian of the troupe, so to speak. Was Breeze one of the ones that they were talking about recasting as a female? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
I think it was Ham and Dachshund that they were going to cast as female,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering it right. And that's I played by those rules when I did my casting. But I thought Breeze was supposed to be a male still.
Okay, cool.
And for me, again, awful with names, but I put Vincent D. Onfio.
Oh yeah.
And he plays a variety of different roles, and I could really see him making a good Breeze character.
True.
He's yeah, gosh, he's just in so many things that I'm drawing a blank on it now. I think he was in like a Law and Order. He's been in a number of different superhero movies.
Yeah, he played Kingpin in the Daredevil series, which he was just phenomenal in that role.
Yeah. He's just been in so many different things, but that's who I ended up casting for Breeze. How about you, Pete?
I feel like I stole Chaz's because we were talking about this earlier, but Simon Pegg from Hot Fuzz, that I feel like he could play that like somewhat serious yet, redirect them. And then as well as Nick Frost, which is, the sidekick for Hot Fuzz and also for Shaun of the Dead. And I think a comedic role is the right way to go with it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I put Leslie Chow. I probably butchered the name. The meme that keeps popping in my head is it's in Hangover, and he's like, "But did you die?" And so that kind of gave me the Breeze mentality,
I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about with Leslie Chow.
The doctor turned actor comedian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. Yeah.
How about you, Chaz? We know Peter stole one of yours, but
both of them actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I
steal from the best, right?
Nick Frost, and somebody had brought up Nick Frost to me at some point, I think, for that role. And if any of you viewers out there aren't familiar with Nick Frost, you can catch him in a pretty significant role in Into the Badlands AMC miniseries, as well as Shaun of the Dead, like Pete mentioned. So, but yeah, I somebody had brought him up to me, and I kind of just went with it because he is really good and he's really funny. So it's a good fit. But yeah, all right, good deal. You guys feel good about moving on with that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So let's take another big one here. What about Vin?
Okay. Do you want to go first, Pete?
Right, and we're going straight.
I think Peter and I are on the same page. Like for me, this was one of the ones that just first actress came to mind, and it's just like yes. So who'd you put down, Pete?
So Arya Stark, aka Mesa Williams.
Yep,
How do you pronounce that?
Maisie. Yeah.
Maisie Williams. And just because like her transformation throughout Game of Thrones, because at the beginning, she just, seemed like a kid playing in the castle, playing around with her brothers, and it's not a big deal. And then she goes through I'm drawing a blank on the name, the invisible whatever people, and she just starts, murking people left and right. And I feel like that's not, a great descriptor of Vin, but she just plays the role very well. And I could see her being the street urchin and, just, fill that role. And then I could also see her, getting her confidence and, being successful as a Vin. But I also had Supergirl or Melissa Bonatist. I don't know. I butchered the name. Anyway, but Supergirl, just because, she plays a confident woman throughout Supergirl. And at times she, brings down her walls. And I think it would take it. It's a little bit different of a role, but she would do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So what about you, Karl?
So I haven't seen Supergirl, but I'm going to stand by Maisie Williams, just because, like in my mind's eye, when I'm listening to Mistborn, like they line up very close. small in stature, but kind of like big in presence at times, right? Able to play that sneaky cloak and dagger if need be, and I can just see her in my mind's eye, like coin pushing and out there duking it out up against Van Diesel and The Rock, playing the Inquisitors, mid-air, doing all her epic moves.
Right.
Who'd you pick, Chaz?
Yeah, so I actually had a couple of different ones. I didn't think about Maisie Williams. I thought about her, and then I'm like, well, I don't know. She might fit the role. But then I did have a couple of others. I thought about Ellen Page from the Umbrella Academy. She plays the white violin. The young sister who supposedly doesn't have powers but turns out to have powers. I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
It's on my to watch.
Yes, I've heard so many good things about it. I'm just going to have to make the time to watch it.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, she plays that. She's also Leonardo DiCaprio's partner in Inception. She's
okay.
Yeah.
She plays Juno. Is that her?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I know who she is.
So I thought about her, and although I was actually strongly leaning toward Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. She's young enough to play Vin when
yeah.
And she's an amazing actress, and I think she'd pull off the role for Vin well. So
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I could definitely see her as Vin as well.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think, Pete?
Sorry, I was trying to spell. I was just saying, I think I can't spell.
Yeah. Joe had a couple of good ones too. Again, from Joe's review journal, he was talking about Zendaya from Spider-Man. She plays MJ in the new Spider-Man movies.
I can see that.
Yeah, and also Sophia Lillis. She plays Beverly in the new It movies, the redhead girl.
I haven't seen any of the It's, but
yeah, she could be a good fit for the role. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on her, but I think I'm still. I could definitely see Zendaya, but I think I'm still solidly down for Millie Bobby Brown.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Like we said, there's plenty of good options for this cast, right?
Yeah, she's another one that is hard to cast, that's for sure. Yeah. So what about Ham? We had when I was making my list for characters, I forgot that Brandon was writing Ham as a female character. So for the script.
Yeah. For looking through other people's castings, it seemed very common for them to be like, or to try to cast them as both a male and a female. For me, I yet again like Game of Thrones, Brianna of Tarth, Gwendolyn Christina.
Yeah.
Christine. Anyway, but she is. It's hard to find a good, I guess, female actor that's comfortable playing more of like a masculine-esque role. And that's where it doesn't quite add up. But yeah, she plays a very like confident, calm, kind character throughout. And yeah, I think she would play a good Ham.
Yeah.
So I ended up going with Gina Carano. She has an MMA background, and she is in The Mandalorian and Deadpool, which I've seen her from.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So
she played. She played the exiled stormtrooper, right? And
Yeah, I think she was a shock trooper or whatnot, technically. But
okay,
yeah, I mean, definitely somebody that we've seen kick some butt on the screen. Um, and yeah. When I was thinking, if we're going to do a gender switch for Ham, um, she's definitely one that came to mind for me, and I think would do a good job in the role. So.
right. Yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, either one of those would work really well. I liked yours too, Pete. And like I said, I was doing male castings, but maybe that's probably not going to happen. But I had thought about John Boyega from Star
Okay.
Wars or Michael B. Jordan as a good Ham.
I could see those.
But yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna piggyback on your guys' picks for the female cast.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We've done a couple of those for your casting as well.
Yeah. What do you
So
say, Pete?
oh, it's irrelevant. I was thinking, oh, what's that movie where it's like two black men who dress up as white women? Uh,
white chicks.
Maybe that sounds relevant. It's irrelevant, but we're talking about movie magic, and if it is a gender switch or whatever, we could easily cast a male and then movie magic it. But that's irrelevant. Just random line of thought.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah, that good point.
we live in an amazing age when it comes to CGI and makeup movie magic, right?
Yeah.
If you could think of it, they can almost do it now.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and the good thing is, Ham and Dachshund both go by their last name technically. So Ham is Hammond, I think, right? So
I believe so.
you could easily cast a female in the role. It doesn't have to be a male or anything. So, and speaking of Dachshund, what did you guys think for Dachshund? Dachshund's kind of more of in the books. He strikes me as kind of more of a more of a pretty boy in a sense.
Okay. Yeah. He always wears nice suits, right? Like dresses more of a nobleman, I think is the way they compare him. Yet he has that like sense of sophistication and loyalty and kind of no nonsense attitude at time, right? Um, I saw this one thrown out there when I was doing my research, and it really hit home for me. I'm a huge Firefly fan,
Oh yeah,
and so the co-captain or the assistant captain, Gina Perez,
yes,
um, she I think would play a really good gender switch dachshund for me. Like I could see her in the role, kind of like leading the crew in Kelsier's absence, no nonsense, yet still like sophisticated, right?
right.
So,
Yeah,
um,
that's a good point. Yeah. What about you, Pete?
I had a hard time with it. I didn't actually get anyone down for Dachshund. And for me, like, it's probably more of a biased where I really enjoyed his character at the beginning, but then towards the end, I was just kind of like, he wasn't my favorite person.
Mhm.
And then with the gender switch, I didn't really get anyone down for Dachshund.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there were a few that I really struggled with. So, yeah, yeah, good.
it, it can be difficult sometimes when you have like the image of them in your mind, right? And we know what Brandon's trying to do, get a more diverse crew and representation in his film. But
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole separate rant.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for me, I when I went into this, I forgot that they were going to be recast as female. And the thing is, he could write them as female in the script, and then the studio says, no, I think we're going to go back to doing them as a male. So it could go either way. But I had down Jared Butler and James McAvoy on this one. But Jared Butler played Leonidas in 300.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's played several different roles, and many of which he dresses quite fine and to the teeth. And
He has. I think he would make a good Dachshund.
yeah.
Yeah. Who's next on the casting list, Chaz?
I had clubs down, and yeah, I was curious to see who you guys thought of for clubs. I definitely I pulled up some images of him, and he's definitely the older character in the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the seasoned veteran of.
Yeah, I had.
He's probably older than Kelsier.
Yeah, when I picture him in my mind, like he's kind of like grandfatherly, right? Like not quite, but the retired soldier with a limp. And I had trouble. I went back and forth on a couple different, but I went back to Game of Thrones and went with Liam Cunningham, the actor that plays Davos, the one that gets all his fingers cut off.
I forgot about Davos. Yeah, Liam Cunningham's great.
Yeah, I could see him playing a good clubs there, kind of that gnarled old guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you have one down, Pete?
So I already said Rory McCannon, the Hound.
Yeah.
Just because, the older kind of gruff. And then if not, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to attempt his name, but Kingslayer or Jaime Lannister.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, it was a weird one for me. Like he ends up playing, more of a fatherly figure towards Spook, but then he's also, a smoker and kind of has to play that like down low incognito gruff mentality, but then he's also got to be, I guess politically correct for dealing with the nobles, for running his shop, and
Right.
I don't know, many hats, many roles for it.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, that's true.
How about you, Chaz?
I had a few down for this one. I had kind of initially thought about Charles Dance. He played Tywin Lannister, Daddy Lannister in Game of Thrones, but he's almost too. He doesn't have the probably that rough, war-torn personality that Clubs really has.
He's one that I felt would make a good Straff venture.
Oh yeah, I thought about him for Straff as well. Yeah.
Because like in Game of Thrones, he kind of has that demeanor, right, of nobility.
Right.
But yeah, who else should you put down for Clubs?
I thought about Bill Nighy. He played. He's been in several big roles. He played what's his name in Pirates of the Caribbean? Davy Jones. He played the octopus face guy.
Okay, yeah.
He's also well known for playing the senior vampire in the Underworld movies.
Okay.
So
what's that?
Did
you say Bill Nye?
Bill Nighy, Nighy. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm
not the science guy, Pete.
Oh, that's where I was confused.
Bill.
That would be funny, actually. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. But I think I kind of also liked Jerome Flynn from Game of Thrones. He played Tyrion's buddy Bronn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He could make a good clubs.
yeah, I think any one of them would make a good clubs, honestly, probably. But yeah, clubs is another one that's tough to cast, and he really doesn't have a major role either.
No.
Yeah, so
No.
that one's not as important. I think probably especially Charles Dance would be wanting to be cast in a more of a major role, but so maybe like a Straff Venture, like you mentioned. And speaking of Straff, why don't we talk about Straff for a minute? So Karl, you said you had picked Charles Dance for Straff Venture.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those that I felt more confident about in the casting, just in my mind's eye of who I'd pick, Charles Dance. He's an incredible actor. Like when I looked him up, I didn't realize what all he's been in. But yeah.
Yeah. The first time I ever saw him was a TV miniseries based on the Phantom of the Opera book, and he played the Phantom. And it was
wow.
Yeah, he was.
He's been around for a while.
Yeah, he has been.
So
yeah, that's for sure.
How
What
about
about you, Pete?
This is another one that I kind of struggled with, and I think part of it is that like as much as it was one of those like love to hate characters throughout the book, and I've always been like rooting for the underdogs in my movies. I'm not a huge like supervillain guy. So I don't know. I'm trying to look up someone. This character looks familiar, or this actor looks familiar. I'm trying to think what he does. Oh, Mads.
Oh, Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know, he kind of has that. It's older, so kind of fits for it. And then, does he play Doctor Strange?
No, he does play. He plays the main villain in Doctor Strange, though, or one. I'm sorry, not the main villain, but he plays one of the guys in Doctor Strange's order, that kind of goes over. He goes and explores the more taboo side of the magic arts.
Okay.
Gets wrapped up with the main villain in the movie. Yeah, so that's him.
Oh, and he was in Rogue One too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
The guy that played. He was the guy that got the smuggled the plans for the Death Star. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd make a good Straff Venture.
Would. Yeah, I didn't think about him. Good pick, Pete.
I'm cheating. I'm looking up people, but yeah, that was I think after all of that he's done, it could be a good one.
He plays Hannibal Lecter in the TV series too.
There you go.
I haven't seen, but I've heard it's really good. Yeah.
Who'd you get, Chaz?
I had. Let's see, who did I have? Oh yeah, I had Jeremy Irons down. So in the Ben Affleck movies, he plays Alfred. And
yeah.
he also does the voice for Scar in the original Lion King animated movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I thought he'd be a fantastic Straff Venture. He's much older though, so I don't know. I can't quite remember how old Straff Venture is, but I know Ellen's probably in his 30s in the first book, right? I'm guessing.
No, I thought he was closer.
I thought he was in his
there
20s.
was a line where Ellen was hanging out with her at the table, but everybody was afraid to approach Vin, and then she says, "Oh well, he's just like a brother, he's just showing me around." and then goes back to Ellen and says something like, "Oh yeah, much older, must be like 10 years." And then he comes back with like, "Oh, I'm only 20 something or other, so unless you're a very mature 10-year-old Vin." So yeah, I think he's younger.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
still a bit of an age difference.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, cool. Yeah, I think probably I think Pete had a solid one there with Mads Mikkelsen. He'd probably be a really good fit. And you don't see him in a lot of stuff, so it would be cool to have a little bit lesser known actor in that role too. So yeah, good pick. I first saw him in Casino Royale. Yeah, he played the villain in that James Bond movie. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, Lashif, I think it was what they called him. Yeah, yeah, good pick. So, did we want to do Spook? I know he's a little bit lesser known, but
Sure. I had some trouble casting Spook, but I have somebody down.
okay.
So,
Who'd you?
of all people, like Spook is kind of like younger, and in my mind, like he doesn't really have a whole lot of a presence until like later on in the series and everything. So of all people, I went with the latest Spider-Man, Tom Holland.
Okay.
Dang it.
Did I get yours, Pete?
Yeah, that's I had Tom Holland doubled up for either Ellen or Spook.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So we know that he can do some of the crazy acrobatics, or at least we assume he can for later on in the series when Spook finally gets the spotlight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Chaz? Who'd you end up casting for it?
I had well, I hadn't really been able to get one for him, but as we were talking before we started filming, the Pete had mentioned Isaac Hempstead Wright from Game of Thrones, who played Brandon Stark for I think you had mentioned him for a different role, but I think he's a good Spook too.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Wasn't of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny to see on screen.
Mm-hmm.
To see them
The Eastern street slang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that mean we're down to the junior venture?
We are. Yeah, he is the last on my list, and you could say I saved the best for last, but I don't think so. I got Vin in there early, so
Yeah, he's one that it took me a while to cast. But I feel pretty good about mine. Who, Pete, you want to go first or?
Yeah, it was pretty much same people I had for Spook, which they don't really for Spook for Isaac Hempstead Wright, the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. I felt like he would play a very good Ellen because throughout his journey in Game of Thrones, he seems to be very I guess knowledgeable, and I think it'd be a good one. And then I also had Tom Holland, the newest Spider-Man. I think he'd play a good one just because like people won't be able to get past the role they played prior. So if you have Arya Stark up against or with the three-eyed raven, it's just kind of like the brother romance, but not really. So if I had to break that up, I would go with Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the challenges with Ellen Venture is just like his journey throughout the 3 books, right? Like he starts off in like a completely different spot than where he ends up. And where Vin, it's similar, but it's different, right? Like she starts off really shy, introverted, not trusting, and then kind of blossoms into, this epic, fighter. And then with Elend, kind of like similar but in a different way. He's like almost just like this lovable goofball in the beginning that ends up becoming, emperor. So I had some trouble, but I feel pretty good about my pick. I ended up going with TJ Miller, who plays Weasel in Deadpool. Also know him from Ready Player One and a couple other roles. But yeah, like I could see him as the goofy scholar in the beginning that we can't take too serious and turn into, our fighter. But yeah, that was a tough one. Who'd you end up going with, Chaz?
Well, that was a tough one. I originally had down Nicholas Castor-Waldau from Game of Thrones, or Nikolai. I guess I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but yeah, I initially had him down, but then I was, that's because I was thinking older Elend in the later books, after he's been through it a while and everything. But I also I just came up with this on the fly, and that was Nicholas Hoult from the X-Men movies. He plays the new Beast, the younger guy that plays Beast in the X-Men movies.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he would be a good fit for a young Elend Venture.
I could definitely see him doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, because he has that sophisticated look about him, and the character of Beast, it is of course very sophisticated, and very, very intelligent and everything like that. So
Beast is one of my favorite X-Men. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still partial to Gambit, but
yes.
Gambit's a favorite.
Yes. It's off topic, but I just started rewatching the 90s cartoon again.
And yeah, it's on Disney Plus, isn't it?
It is. And thanks to Pete's wife, I saw that the voice actor for Cyclops just passed away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So getting a bit off subject there, but yeah, it once you get up in film, you live forever as those characters, right? So rest in peace, and more importantly, Brandon Sanderson. We've got some potential cast people here, so help immortalize these characters and get them up on the big screen for us, right?
Yeah.
I had one more for Tensoon.
Okay.
Because he'll probably all be CGI, so I figured the narrator of the books would be a great voice for him, because that's what I know him as. So that's Michael Kramer.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. And actually on that note, we would probably want to do someone for Aura Sur too, because Aura Sur was the original. Before Tensoon kind of ate him.
Yeah, I say just give Michael Kramer all those.
Yeah, I mean, he plays both of them throughout the Audible, so but I'm sure there's other voice actors that would do well there.
Yeah.
Or maybe, since Tensoon is or Sur's kind of a lighter role, if Brandon decides to add those little narrator moment snippets, I don't know how he does it, just freeze the scene and have the little random snippet, and
yeah. The little excerpts at the beginning of each chapter.
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun.
Definitely. Well, cool. Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to when and if the movies or TV show or whatever becomes a reality. I know Brandon's probably gonna push it for a movie, but we'll see what happens. And so, yeah, like you said, Carl, Brandon needs to watch this video, right?
Yes, yes.
Get those ideas flowing. Maybe he can show whoever ends up picking up the movie. Hey, watch this video, get some ideas.
Yeah, and I can't speak for all of us, but we'll give him a good deal if he wants to hire us to be a part of that casting team, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe even
uh,
to his promotional team. That would be pretty good.
yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
Well, I really
Well,
appreciate you guys coming on the show with me and just chatting up with the Mistborn casting. What have you guys got going on in the near future here? I know we've got Dune coming up.
yes,
That's going to be this
yes.
weekend, next weekend, right? So,
hmm
but it'll be this weekend by the time this video airs. So,
Yes. Always a pleasure hanging out and chatting with you, Chaz. On our channel, we pretty much do live book discussion streams every weekend. We've been rocking it out on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, though that's always subject to change. We have a couple different series we're rolling through, trying to hit like once a month to give people time to kind of catch up or join the buddy read, if you will. Next up is, like you said, Dune, which I'm super pumped about. It's one of my personal top 5 sci-fi series. I'm super excited to get Pete to give it a shot. We just finished last week book 2 of the Completionist Chronicles, and then
The third week in September, we have Dungeon Lord Otherworldly Powers, which
yes,
is a lit RPG, second book in the series. I really enjoy it. It takes a funky twist because it's primarily dark fantasy. So instead of, you being righteous and the hero and for good, it's very like you're a dungeon lord. You're supposed to eat people. Um, yeah, it's great series all in all. I really enjoy the narrators throughout it. We follow them through some of our other books as well. And then the last slot every month is currently held up by Brandon Sanderson, who's going to be playing Kelsier in his upcoming movie
uh,
for Oathbringer,
nice.
which, yeah, that's third book in the Stormlight Archives. Phenomenal series. And if you're here for Brandon Sanderson stuff, then yeah, it'd be the 27th.
yes. I'm looking forward to rereading that and eventually getting into some theory crafting for book 4, which is going to be a lot of fun. So,
That'll be cool. Yeah, and that's coming up soon. October release date, or no, November. Sorry.
Yeah.
yes,
November.
yes.
Yeah. So I've been avoiding the chapters he's been releasing on mine. No.
I keep having to redirect Karl away from him. I'm like, no, it's not finished. We can't officially. I guess we could release stuff, but it's just not quite as satisfying as getting the whole picture because so much of what he says is snippets and redirection for the bigger whole. So yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, we appreciate it, Chaz. This has been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun. Thanks, you guys, for being on. And for those of you that are watching, make sure you check the description below. I am going to have a link to Pete and Karl's channel in the description. I'm also going to have a link to their channel in the cards at the end. So make sure you check that out and go and support these guys. They do a lot of fun stuff on their channel. And let me know in the comments what you guys think, casting ideas you guys have for Mistborn, and I will talk to you in the next video. Have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.